Hey everybody, Invisiblekatana here doing my top 10 list for the Ubisoft E3 2016 press conference. Ubisoft celebrated 30 years, so happy birthday Ubisoft. They've done a ton of games I love. Prince of Persia's, of course, one of my favorites, as well as Assassin's Creed. Obviously, you can imagine why. Um, I only have 10 things. I actually don't have any honorable mentions in this one. It was very compact for me. It was like, this is what I like. I think the only thing that could be an honorable mention is the only thing I might leave out, which I just tell you guys is, what the heck is that game called? Dance? I think, yeah, Dance 2017. I just don't care. Um, Number 10, though, is Grow Up. I really like Grow Home. I thought that was a fun game. I really enjoyed it. I actually watched a Let's Play, but I didn't buy it myself. It's a fairly simple game, but I just enjoyed watching it. Like, that's how, simple and fun it was. I enjoyed that. They've expanded it to it's an entire planet. They've added new elements to it and stuff like that. So I like that. It caught my interest. It's an expanded sequel, so I'm sure it'll be fun. Curious to see if they kind of add other elements that they haven't talked about yet, with it being like the initial announcement. But I thought that was actually kind of cool. Number 9 is Trials of the Blood Dragon. I don't play Trials, so like neither of these games I don't think I'll ever get. But Trials of the Blood Dragon definitely got me more excited than Grow Home or Grow Up did, and you can probably imagine why. It just looked really funny. It was Trials and Blood Dragon mixed together. For a second, I was a million times more excited because I don't play Trials, so I didn't know the company was the Trials company. I was a million times more excited for a second though, because I thought they were doing a sequel to the Blood Dragon DLC as its own game, and that had me really excited. And then it was like, oh, it's the Trials thing, and I was like, oh, because I didn't know the company, so that kind of sucked. But they do have like parts where you actually run on foot and you shoot people. So even when it was like that, I was still a bit more excited. And so it's still kind of like it goes back and forth, but it's still a Trials game, so it's probably more the motorcycle stuff than the shooting sections. But they actually have that, which I thought was cool. That's just a new element that I don't believe they've ever had in the Trials game. So still look cool. Still, of course, had the Blood Dragon style, so it's definitely funny to watch that trailer. And they have the toys, and it's like, play as the Radis tweens and stuff like that. So definitely love the trailer, but didn't blow me away. Still had me excited though. I was like, that's really cool. If it was a sequel to Blood Dragon, that would have blew my mind. If Blood Dragon got its own full game, that would have been amazing to see. But sadly, that did not happen. Number 8 is actually South Park, Fractured But Whole. Of course, the whole day, every time I kept hearing that, it was hilarious. Never played the first one. I just like South Park, so it was like, it just interests me because it's South Park and it's really funny. Loved all the footage that they did. Like, take a seat. It's like, don't sit there. You don't sit there either. That's Mysterion's seat. And then the actual trailer was my favorite part, where it's like, their whole thing was like, the first part or phase 1, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that, and it's like, guys, we should do this and do that. It's like, if we want to make $1 billion, we should start with I forgot what Tolkien's super name was, like the tornado or whatever. And Carl was like, yeah, let's do the black guy movie first. Well, we're gonna do like Marvel, and we'll sneak him in. We'll sneak the black guy in phase 3 and stuff. And I was like, it was just really funny jokes, like just good South Park jokes. And they talk about the refined combat, which I thought was cool. And like I said, I never played it, so I don't know the real pitfalls, but they did. So they fixed some of that stuff up, and they have the elements of the games, or of the like the superhero genre, as well as like the actual movie genre. They like just destroy DC. It was like, I bet you it would be like DC or whatever. Like, you won't even get through. It was like, you won't even get through phase 1 DC comics. And I just remember someone in the crowd was like, "Oh, burn," or something like that, and it really made me laugh. But they had some great jokes in there. Of course, it was just hilarious to watch, and it does look like the game's going to actually be pretty fun. And I'm assuming you get to choose in this, because if I remember right from The Stick of Truth, it was kind of a linear story. Like, this is kind of how it goes, but they don't really talk about it, but it seems like you'd be able to choose really which side you'd be on, because it's, when you first start, I would assume that that's when they're all together still. But I thought that was kind of cool. It's like, maybe if they want to add that element, you actually get to choose, and it adds a lot of replayability there. Plus, with it being multiple superheroes, or you get to be like a speedster or super strength, stuff like that. That adds replayability as well. So Of course, got number 8. It's South Park. It's freaking hilarious. It's South Park. Number 7 really surprised me. I totally forgot about this until I was making my list, and I was like, oh yeah, I totally left it off the list, and then I just assumed, I was like, alright, it'll be here, and I was like, no, actually, I like this a little bit more. So even though I completely forgot until I was finishing my list, because I just didn't note it during the conference, it's actually the Assassin's Creed movie. Even when it's not a game, it'll sneak in there. The Assassins just do that. So for me, it's number 7. I like the trailer for it. We still apparently haven't had a great video game movie. Reviews haven't been phenomenal for Warcraft. So that sucks. You know, we still just haven't had like that great video game movie. So maybe it'll happen. You know, maybe it'll happen with Assassin's Creed. I hope so. I think outside of the Resident Evil games, this is the franchise I care about the most that's been turned into a movie. Didn't work with Resident Evil. The first one I thought was really good. After that, I think they suck. The second one is my least favorite. And then they kind of, once they got rid of the just horribleness of 2, it still kind of sucked because it wasn't anything like Resident Evil. They just put Resident Evil characters in it sometimes. But, you know, this is like my favorite one since Resident Evil that I've cared about, because I never really got into Ratchet and Clank. Don't play the World of Warcraft, so I don't know anything about Warcraft in general. So I didn't even care. I never even wanted to see the movie, and then didn't even get good reviews, unfortunately. So maybe with Assassin's Creed, you know, it'll be great. We got to see a lot of good action footage. That's kind of why it had me amped up. I'm like, okay, there's like a lot of, you know, there's a little bit more parkour that we got to see. A lot of hand-to-hand combat stuff is what I really loved about it, because it's Assassin's Creed, even though typically it's like, you know, jump from here and kill that person and leave. There's a lot of times where there's hand-to-hand combat, so I was glad to see a lot of that in the footage, and that's kind of what got me. It was like, man, the hand-to-hand combat looks pretty sweet. There's a lot of spins and flips and kicks, and then jumping, and they're doing the parkour stuff. So even though I never would have thought that, the Assassin's Creed movie actually got me really interested. So I hope it does well. I was hoping that anytime there's a video game movie, I'm just like, I don't care if I never see this, I just want it to be great. And they just don't. They aren't. They never are. So hopefully, I hope Assassin's Creed can do it right. They're changing things up a little bit, doing their own story, changing up the animus. I just hope it works. Love the franchise. I just hope it freaking works. But that's my number 7. Number 6, if I can find them, here it is. I crossed out because I was moving things around so much. I have like tons of X's and stuff like that. But number 6 is actually the Star Trek VR. Never would have thought that would have been so exciting to me, but really loved it. It doesn't hurt to have LeVar Burton, because I like him. Reading Rainbow and Geordie LaForge. So that was cool, just hearing his voice and then seeing it. I was like, that it just oddly had me very excited, and just the way it's like kind of a co-op experience where you're on the ship, and you know, so far it seemed pretty simple, but in that moment, and that's kind of what I try to make my list off of. I try not to do it where it's like I think about it after the fact. It's like what got me during the press conference, and it did. Like even if after the fact is like meh, because when I was looking at it a little bit after that, I was like, you know, it still looks okay, and it's just like it looks really simple. But that was just me looking like, oh, he pushed a button and he moved up and pushed another button. So it's not like compelling footage to look at, but knowing VR, because I've done like a demo of VR before, and being able to do that in the Star Trek universe, and especially if you're like a huge Star Trek fan, I'm not that much, but just being able to do that, and it's like, you know, we're taking damage, do this and do that, and you know, you're in command, or it would probably be the most fun to be in command more than anything else, because it's like do this and do that, and someone gives you information, you have to say like, all right, get rid of shields and send us, you know, do this and do that. So that would probably be the most fun. But you know, just seeing that, being introduced to it, just had me really excited. So it really shocked me. It really shocked me, and definitely had me excited. Number 5, exact same thing, also VR, and it is the Eagle Fight game. Love that. Insanely simple. Probably simpler than the Star Trek thing. It's you fly around, you have eagle scream, you kill other eagles, and they only show like basically capture the flag, but I'm assuming they have other modes. It would be weird if they just had, here's team deathmatch. I don't know, that'd be funny, but visually amazing. I couldn't imagine actually experiencing that in VR. Like they were flying through those trees, and you have the ability to look around. We didn't see it too much. They seemed to kind of keep their heads kind of straight, but like going through that, it would be hard to look unless you don't care and you don't mind if you lose. But as much as they were flying, it's like you look left for a split second, you're done for. But it looked really fun. It was like, man, you have to duck, and they were, because of course they made it, so they knew what to do, and they're like ducking through the trees and going around. They had the part where there was like one who went like underground or like through like the little tunnels to get an extra boost from the fans. That I thought was great, and it's like it just kept looking like they were gonna get hit by the fan as it was spinning and stuff. And I was like, that just looks really good. And they're just flying through this thing, going underground, and get to see the aerial footage of just where everyone is. And I was like, that just looks insanely fun to me. Like it just looks like you'd have a great freaking time with that, especially with it being online. And it was just like, man, that kind of blew me away. It's such a simple premise. I would assume there's more than just capture the flag, but just seeing it like that initial impression of it, I was like, I would love to play this game because it's like learning to balance that skill like as fast as it looked like they were going at least. It's like, man, that was on TV and I'm like, they're flying. I can only imagine like that's like just on your eyes and you look like you're flying like 50 miles an hour and it's you like you're flying at like 50 miles an hour. So I love that. I would love the chance to get to play that game. It kind of blew me away. I was like, that looks really good. But we'll have to see how that how that plays. What they decide to do, they expand that one and stuff. But really caught my attention. Really loved it. Number 4 was actually Ghost Recon Wildlands. Very excited for it last year when it got announced. I thought this was pretty cool. They mentioned that there was like a dynamic ecosystem. There's 1 to 4 players through the main story campaign, which I believe they kind of mentioned before. But I thought it was pretty fun the way they did it. I would have preferred if they didn't do the stealth thing because I prefer like the action based. And plus, you don't get to see as much. It's like, oh, you stealth the whole thing, so there's like no one really comes after you, and that's pretty much what they did the whole thing. So it was like it made it less compelling, but I still like the idea of it. Like that's why even though what they showed me, and sometimes that affects me where it's like, oh, the gameplay didn't get it, but in a game like this, it's really easy to see the possibilities compared to some other stuff where it's like, you look at the Star Trek VR thing, it's like, well, it looks like you kind of just sit there and talk. For this, it's like, all right, 4 players. They didn't really show us too much as far as what would happen if you're by yourself. It's always been 4-player co-op, so don't know if they're doing kind of old school Ghost Recon where it's like, all right, you have 3 other members, send them over here to distract enemies, or do this or do that, because you have a lot of possibilities. Like, hey, you stay here and tag people and snipe them. So there's a lot we still haven't seen yet. But I feel like the possibilities are really good, despite what they showed us, where it's like, some of the footage, my favorite part was when they were driving, because everything else seems sort of slow paced. It's like, oh, snipe them, snipe them. It was cool when they did the thing where one guy went in the house and he killed one dude, and the other guy was still outside and he shot through the window and killed the second guy. I love that part. That was a nice little bit of teamwork, but super duper scripted. And of course, they always have where it's like they're actually in the military and stuff. It's like, well, just it's so scripted sometimes, but still enjoyed the gameplay, especially the actual chase scene. I thought actually looked pretty cool, and the person escapes, and so they have to chase him down, but they can't get him, and they're trying to keep him alive, so they're trying to shoot up the car, but they can't do it. Although I felt like they probably did that once again to keep it scripted, because he could have easily shot the guy's tires out before the helicopter and everything. But they do that. And unfortunately, they kind of end after they kidnap the guy, because that's when all those other people show up. And then it kind of ends after that. And I was like, oh, that kind of sucked, because I wanted to see, kind of the crazy action. And that's why I wish they just went guns blazing, because I believe that's what they did last time. When they announced it, it's just like, they want to go in and not to cause any crazy, chaos. And they want to get the person and get out. It's like, well, that's boring to see twice in a row when you only see it once a year, So I wish they showed us that, or if they show us something later, in the week, that would be great too. But as of the conference itself, I'm still excited for it. I like really big co-op based games, and I like some of the Ghost Recon stuff. And I just think it has a lot of great potential, even though all we've seen is just, here's this place, let's stealth it, and then they go in for like 5 minutes, nothing really big happens because they just headshot everybody. and then they take the person, and that's it. So it's not as entertaining when you see it that way. But just looking at it, it's like it seems like there's a ton of possibility. So I'm still excited because just mostly it's a Ghost Recon game. I've played others, so it's like what I know of the Tom Clancy Ghost Recon games, plus it's open world and 4-player co-op and all this other extra stuff is like put in just what I know with the idea. It's like I'm still super excited despite what they've really shown us. So still really high on my list because I enjoyed it. Number 3 for me, once again, Ubisoft probably had the biggest shocks. Watch Dogs 2 kind of blew me away. I was excited when I saw the trailer a few days ago anyway. I was like, I think I might want this because they've got like actual parkour going on. Um, they should basically just say, you know what, Prince of Persia worked, parkour all, everything. But they've done, full on parkour for Watch Dogs. Um, the promo, or not the promo, but the actual gameplay that we saw was really fun, where he goes through the house. Great music, of course. Everybody was talking about the song they played, but it was really cool. He did the drone thing. He sent the drone up. You go around. Then when he linked into the cameras, the drone automatically flies back to him. His buddy, whose name was Wrench, I believe, with the emoji goggles. I want those so bad because I love that. That I was just like, I'm such a nerd, but I need those goggles because that was really sweet. But I thought it was really cool. I love what we got to see. The combat is actually great because I know in the first Watch Dogs you don't even have hand-to-hand combat, which is like the craziest thing in the world. But they didn't even have that in the first game. So great combat with the it's God, I forgot what it is. It's not like a cue ball from pool, but it's something else. It's obviously just a ball to whack people in the head with. But the combat looked good. It was very fluid, very martial arts style mixed in with with the parkour. So it looked sweet. Just the simple movements of how he, especially at the end when he was actually leaving the house, the way it looked. Excuse me. The way it looked was really great. All the little hacks and stuff. The little RC car when it jumped over the couch, I was like, that's really cool. That's such a minor thing. But I was like, I did not see that coming, and it just like boom, and it flies over the couch. So I was like, just little stuff is sweet. Being able to hack any car and just send it flying off, or if someone's driving, which they show in the end trailer, which I loved that second trailer. If that was the first trailer, like I liked the first trailer that they showed, but man, that second trailer they showed at the end of the gameplay, I was like, this is actually really great. I love how they did the editing where it's like, he does this and then it's, there he is around the corner, far off down the, down the road or something. But it was cool. We get to see some stuff where he like hacked he hacked like the Volkswagen and sent it crashing into a car that was chasing behind him while he was on the motorcycle. So you can use it as you're driving, all sorts of little stuff. They had the little stun thing. He threw something when he was inside the house, and it made a noise to attract the guy. And once he got within the force field, it stunned him and knocked him out, so he could beat up the other guy. So like, cool. We got to see quite a few gadgets, lots of hacking. The open world stuff, as far as co-op, seems very seamless. It's a big thing now. Like you just find people, and that's all there is to it. So thought that was great. I wish they focused on that, but it was like it is also the main announcement, so I'm fine that they focus on the actual single player because they can, we can wait on multiplayer. It's like, especially considering the story of the first one where it was kind of mediocre for people, but it really, it really caught my attention. It really blew me away. Loved it for sure. Like I said, definitely want those emoji goggles. That was awesome, but like what they did. Love that end trailer. I'm gonna watch that trailer again for sure. I think I might watch that before I watch the gameplay again, but blew me away. I think it surprised a ton of people how much better it seems than the first Watch Dogs. They took a lot, I mean, there was a lot of feedback for that game, so it actually looked really awesome. So excited for that. My number 2 is actually their new IP, Steep. Really surprised me again. It seems like what they did was take kind of EA's idea for SSX and how that was a more serious version of the SSX universe. And this is like Ubisoft taking that more serious version of SSX and just saying, you know what, let's just make it actual snowboarding and skiing and stuff. Once again, surprised me. I just liked the way it looked. I thought it was cool. It was simple. It was like the SSX thing. It was clear when they had flips and stuff going on. They showed that people could get points. And visually looked sweet as well. That doesn't really matter that much. But yeah, they have the wingsuit stuff. They have skiing and the snowboarding. I was like, this just looks fun. It's like one of those things where it's kind of like the game you buy just to hang around. It's like hanging around, but the game version of it. So I actually like that idea. Also, I think at least a straight month of my life is going to be me watching people do slow motion crash videos, because when they did that and the guy was like, ooh, in slow motion, had me cracking up. Slow motion screaming is always funny to me. But cool videos like that, funny videos like that. People could do all sorts of silly stuff with that if you have multiple people playing with you. They didn't really talk about a cap of how many could be on at one time, but looked really good, had me surprised. Nice little new IP, so I was excited for that one. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with that for sure. I'm kind of interested. I kind of want to get that because I'm like, I think I'd enjoy that a lot. So it kind of caught me as the new IP, and I'm curious to see where they go. There's not a lot of, open sports games. The last one really, like this especially, was SSX, so unless Shaun White did something, which he may have done, but I'm excited to see where they go with this. For my number one, like I said, I have no honorable mentions for this. Dance, whatever. Honorable, or my main one, I said honorable because it's for honor. That's my number one. Love the fact that we got a story reveal, because that was my main thing about it last year. It was like, it seems like it's all multiplayer. We got a cool story. Love the fact that it's different than what I was expecting. I just thought, oh, it's medieval times. It's somehow post-apocalyptic medieval time story where everything got messed up. I don't know if that'll play into the story. We have our main villain, Apollyon, I believe is her name, where she keeps things going as far as war. So the people know about her and they want to attack her, but we have our three warring factions. So I'm hoping that you get to pick one and you have three distinctive playthroughs. You have three different campaigns as you do that. Then you can go online and do multiplayer, and I thought that was cool. There are 3 tiers or 4 tiers of enemies. They have like the little guys you just swing and they all die. You have the dudes where you actually have to block. And I think they had 2 types of enemies like that. It seemed like there were 2 different types of samurai. One had less armor than the other, so I don't know if that made a difference or if that was purely aesthetic. And then I would assume you have like full-on boss enemies that are really tough, and not just like, oh, you have to counter this way or that way. They have more strength, maybe tougher moves to block. It's not as easy to read what direction, little stuff like that. So that's my number one. Really loved it. I am curious how it's going to develop, because the thing with the enemies, like, oh, the really weak enemies, you just swing and then you only fight like the tougher ones. That seems like it could get repetitive and a little boring really fast, where it's like, oh, I know I can kill all these guys in one hit, and then I have to fight that guy with that certain mechanic that they have. So that could get a little iffy for me, but we'd love to know what you guys thought about this conference. So please comment below, let me know your favorite parts, least favorite parts, rearrange my list, make your own list. But definitely want to know what you guys thought, and of course, thanks for watching.